When people search for the best aim scenario for Valorant, what they usually want is someone to tell them what to click. The problem is, there is no single best task. If the task doesn't match the aim skill you're struggling with, you can grind it every day and still miss the same shots in-game. Aim in Valorant isn't a single skill. It shows up in different ways depending on the situation you're in. So instead of starting with a list, we're going to break this down inside real gameplay. We'll play through common situations, pause when a gunfight shows up, and break down the aim skill involved. Now let's begin at the start of a round. Barriers go down, teams are either pushing for space or holding their ground. As you move up, you swing a common angle with good crosshair placement, and you spot an enemy. In this moment, both of you are already lined up. What decides who wins the fight is who clicks first, at the right timing. This situation shows up constantly in Valorant. If you're the one peeking, a good way to practice this is with Aimlabs Strafe Peek. The goal here isn't to move your mouse around. It's to build consistency in clicking cleanly when your crosshair placement is already good. Strafe Peek will train your keyboard and mouse coordination, stopping and clicking at the right timing, as well as your reaction time when you're on target. There's easy and hard variations, so pick what's appropriate. If you're the one holding, playing Valo hold will isolate the skill of timing your clicks, giving you tons of reps in a short amount of time. You can move around the map to choose which side you want to practice holding, or move back and forth to change the angle distance. And once you're able to hold consistently, start placing your crosshair closer to the wall to practice reacting faster. Going back to the same scene, this time, your crosshair is slightly off. You're close, but you're not perfectly lined up, so you need to make a small correction before you shoot. This is where micro-adjusting comes in, whether you're holding or peeking. A good way to practice this is with single target tasks that spawn targets within a small area, like Micro-Shot Ultimate. These give you a lot of reps of that exact moment in Valorant, where your crosshair is almost on target and you just need a quick, controlled adjustment to finish the shot. Once that starts to feel second nature, you can push the difficulty further with Micro-Microshot. The smaller targets and tighter spawn area forces you to be more precise. Now you start scaling and clearing corners. This is where tracking becomes important. You're tracking angles steadily, ready for anyone playing in an off angle. For these moments, the aim skill you need to build is stability in your tracking. Load up Angle Track Valorant. In this task, a target stays in the center while your character moves around it in a smooth linear arc. Your goal is to keep your crosshair locked onto the target as your character moves. Unlike other tracking scenarios, you don't need to hold down the fire button. Damage is applied automatically when your crosshair stays on target, letting you focus purely on smooth, controlled mouse movements. This closely mirrors how tracking feels when you're tracking angles in Valorant when clearing corners. Now you're executing a hit, and as expected, you get smoked. You can't hold tight angles anymore, so you're forced to swing out and be exposed to multiple angles at once. In these moments, you need to flick to different angles on where an enemy could be. To practice this, start with Burst Flick Ultimate. In Valorant, flicking happens in a single, fast motion. As much as possible, you want to hold that motion to land directly on the target, without over-flicking or under-flicking. That's the exact skill Burst Flick is built to train. In this task, you have to snap to the target in one clean movement. If you slow down or try to correct mid-flick, the target breaks and that counts as a miss. This forces you to commit to the flick and build confidence in landing accurately on the first motion, which is exactly what you need when you're exposed to multiple angles. Another option is Headshot Standard, where targets only spawn at head level, so you can focus purely on head level flicks. Flicking is especially useful when switching between angles quickly, or when shooting close targets. But when an enemy is farther away, a flick alone usually isn't enough. After the flick, you need to micro-adjust to finish the shot. To train that combination, load up Adjust Shot Valorant. This is a hybrid task that combines flicking and micro-adjusting. It spawns two targets across a wide wall, forcing you to flick between them, then make a slight adjustment to land the shot cleanly. The goal is learning how to transition smoothly from speed into precision. Additionally, you can use the Aimlabs replay system and turn on leading and trailing paths. This makes it easy to see whether your flick is actually straight or if you're wasting time moving from point A to point B. You'll also be able to spot if you're consistently underflicking or overflicking. In most cases, it's better to slightly underflick, slowing down towards the end of the motion, rather than overflicking past the target, as you get more efficient with your flicks and and micro corrections, the motion starts to blend together. And at that point, it becomes a single, clean movement and you're landing the first shot before the enemy does. Now the fight continues. Another enemy swings, but this time you miss. They keep moving, swinging wide, and strafing to throw off your timing. Hitting a moving target is harder than a static one. For linear, predictable movements, like a wide or popping swing, Headshot Valorant is a strong way to train this. In this task, the target moves horizontally, forcing you to deal with the movement instead of waiting for a full stop. Since Valorant rewards first shot accuracy and clean headshots, the goal here isn't to track the target. Instead, you want to place your crosshair slightly ahead of the target's movement and click as they move into it. And to up the difficulty, you can play Valorant Headshot Float. Now rewind to the same fight. You missed the first shot, but this time the enemy doesn't commit to a wide swing. Instead, they keep strafing back and forth unpredictably. This kind of movement is harder to read than a wide swing. The distance stays tight, but the timing keeps changing. Here, the skill you're training is movement reading and intercepting the target when it changes direction. To work on this, load up Valorant Horizontal Clicking. In this task, targets strafe at head level and unpredictable movement changes, forcing you to read the movement closely and time your shots. Once you're ready to push the difficulty further, play Micro-Shot One Target Multiclick. It includes varying distance and slight vertical shift. Now that we have all the tasks we need, let's take a look at everything together. This table is a summary of the aim skills that show up most often in real Valorant fights and the Aimlabs tasks that directly train each one. You can choose to play each one equally or pick the ones that you think you struggle the most. If you're losing fights where your crosshair placement is already good, focus on timing tasks such as Valo Hold for holding and Aimlabs Strafe Peek for peeking. If you need to stabilize your aim, like when you're clearing off angles, play Angle Track Valorant. If you constantly miss your micro adjustments or times when your crosshair is slightly off, spam Micro-Shot Ultimate or Micro-Microshot. For training your flicks, Burst Flick and Headshot Standard are good for Valorant. For a hybrid of flicking and micro adjustment discipline, run Adjust Shot Valorant. And for aiming and clicking on moving targets, use Headshot Valorant and Valorant Headshot Float for predictable movements like a wide swing, or Valorant Horizontal Clicking and Micro One Target Multiclick for tighter, unpredictable strafes. This isn't every aim skill in Valorant, but these tasks cover the fundamentals you use in almost every game. Every player has different strengths and weaknesses. Figure out what you're missing, train that specifically, and let the improvement compound over time.